Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Studio 78 podcast. I am your host, Nache Snow from NacheSnow.com. That is NacheSnow.com. Thank you for joining in. If you're new to the podcast, know that I interview everyday women that do extraordinary things, and they actually pass on this information. Either they're telling their life story, they're talking about their passion, they're giving us tips, you name it. It just depends on what their thing is, and I kind of dig into it and talk to them more about, what they love or what they're good at. If you haven't already, please head on over to NacheSnow.com and sign up for the newsletter. You can sign up on every page, but you can also go to NacheSnow.com/newsletter. And in the newsletter, I talk to you guys about like what I'm doing, what I'm struggling with, what my wins are, but then I also highlight content from the site to include podcasts and blog articles, and I will be also giving some giveaways like worksheets and things that I use to keep me sane or that you guys could use to help you out for different things. So be sure to go over to NacheSnow.com/newsletter to check that stuff out or to not miss out on that stuff. And lastly, be sure, like whatever app you're listening to, please hit subscribe because then that guarantees you don't miss out on an episode. So on to our guest. So I'm really happy to have Sade on. You guys know, like I've talked about it before, I try to have a balance of people who have a 9 to 5 and are kind of working their passion on the side, and then people who actually have, either quit their 9 to 5 and are just working for themselves. And then I've even had someone on here who never really worked a 9 to 5, and for the most part, she's always worked for herself. But I like to have that balance because it's important for me to let people know that there is no right way. Like everybody shouldn't be working for themselves, and everybody shouldn't be working for the man, right? Like it's just like it depends on your life, your passion, your career, and you have to determine what's right for you. So today I have Sade, who does have a 9 to 5, but what we focus on is her passion, which is health. And she talks to us about how she got into bodybuilding and then where that's kind of led her over the last couple of years, kind of what she's doing next with it, thinking about starting a podcast, and then what's next for her, like what her goals are for 2017. So I think this episode is great just for people who are wondering, like, how does someone discover, like, even what their passion is or get into something, like, different other than, like, what they're doing, every day, 9 to 5. And then also it's like great because she talks about health. She talks about a health problem that she's going through now and how it started and how you could prevent that from happening, especially if you do end up getting a trainer or a coach. And so she gives like a lot of lessons learned and a lot of tips when it comes to health. So I really like that. And it's funny in here, she talks about eating better and working out. And even for me, like I struggle with that like most people do, but I'm starting to get a little bit better. Like even in the past month, I've worked out like 5 times. So you might be like, 5 times, that's it. But I used to work out a lot more, but I haven't really worked out in the last 5 years. So the fact that I've worked out 5 times in the last month is like a miracle. Anyway, so I'll talk a little bit more about that after the show, but let's take a listen to Sade. All right, everyone. Hello, I have Sade here. Welcome, Sade.
Hi, how is everyone doing, and how are you doing, Nache?
I'm doing great. Thanks for coming on to the podcast. We've got a lot to dig into, but what I want to tell the listeners out there, I think Sade is a good example of kind of someone who followed her passion on nights and weekends. So, I've had people on the show where maybe, they are now like working for themselves or entrepreneurs, but I'm trying to have a mix of people who work a 9 to 5, but also pursue their fashion and other business endeavors on nights and weekends. And so Sade has done this, but Sade, maybe can you tell the listeners about like what your passion is, like the competitions, like when you started and how you got started?
So, well, my passion is fitness, and specifically bodybuilding. So I am a bikini amateur bodybuilder. And when did I start? So this whole, I think, kind of started around 2013. I had gained, if you know me, you know that most people see me and they think I'm very small. But I gained a lot of weight up to the point that I was 165 pounds. When people would see me, they couldn't tell that, but I could tell it because obviously my clothes didn't fit properly, right? So, so I started looking for ways, and just to preface that, the year before we moved, my husband and I moved with my 9 to 5 to England, in the United Kingdom, and we were living in Cambridge. So, with the move and everything, obviously I was eating a little bit like different types of food, and I gained a lot of weight. But before that too, I did gain weight before that. So I started looking for ways to kind of lose weight, and I started working out. I started asking around, and I started working with this trainer in Cambridge who is a kind of CrossFit, mainly CrossFit type coach. And she does this thing where she does this 21 days of completely cleaning up your diet. It takes 21 days to break a habit or to gain a habit. So she says 21 days, we're going to completely take out anything processed, sugars, nothing. If it does not walk on the ground, if it does not fall from a tree, and if it's not swimming in the water, you can't have it. So, just keep that in mind when you're trying to eat clean or just kind of clean up your food. So if it's completely altered from its natural state, there are very few exceptions to what you can have when you're cleaning out your diet for 21 days. And so that's the rule I followed. And so I started doing that with her. And at first I was miserable. The first week was the most miserable week of my life. Let me tell it. But
I can only imagine. Like I actually can't imagine because I love food so much.
Exactly. And I enjoy food, and I'm overseas. I'm in Europe. So I'm traveling all over the place. And during this time, I think I remembered traveling to Greece, Santorini. And I can't eat all of this stuff because I'm trying to stay focused. And it's hard for me to be disciplined when it comes to food. But I was so adamant on it, but it was good. In Greece, it was actually amazing because everything, the fish was really fresh. Everything was natural. So that's what I ate. But what I did notice was within like a week and a half, I started sleeping better. And I have a history of insomnia where I cannot sleep through the night. And it all started from having worked night shift for many years and then trying to get my body back, but I could never get my body back. And so I would sleep through the night, and I could never sleep more than 2 hours a night. I would wake up every 2 hours, and then maybe I'll be up for like 30 minutes. I'll go back to sleep. But I noticed that I actually slept for like 8 hours.
Wow. And
I felt amazing. Like I felt happy. The next morning, I woke up refreshed. And so I didn't even notice it right away, but when I slept through the night, my husband was like, wow, you didn't wake up last night. and that's, it's like, I noticed that you haven't woken up because I wake up, and when I wake up, everyone wakes up. So,
so he's like, oh my goodness, I've gotten sleep. Yeah.
So he didn't wake up the night before because I didn't wake up. So I started like noticing it, like, okay, well, let me pay attention. And I was talking to my coach about it. I was still working out with her 3 times a day. And I started researching a little bit more about just eating clean and what it does for you and how it changes your life. It's the commitment that you have to make. So while I was doing that, I joined Instagram for some reason, and I started looking at all this health and fitness people, and most of them were competitors, right? So I was like, I can do that. I mean, like, I feel like I can do this. And I'm one of those people who needs to have a goal. And I need to
Mm-hmm.
set that goal and I need to move with it. I can't say, oh, I'm going to do something, but not actually like move towards doing it because I would just keep saying it. I wouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I can do that. So next time I went to see my coach, I said, hey, I'm actually thinking about competing. Have you ever done that? But she's a CrossFit person. She was like, well, I've never done it. And bodybuilding and CrossFit, they're supposed to be the same. It's all about health and fitness, but there are different methods that you do for bodybuilding because you're more looking aesthetically at your body, whereas CrossFit is more like strength and kind of it's not really a focus on building muscle, it's a focus on being stronger.
Mm.
So she says, I'll introduce you to somebody. So she did introduce me to my very first coach for competing. And she was a competitor as well in England. So that's how I got into this. And this was back in, so it all started in 2013. I didn't really start getting into it till about, I would say, June of 2014 in terms of the bodybuilding aspect of it. And
Mm-hmm.
then I did my first competition, a really small competition in March. No, April 19th of 2015.
Mm.
And I went in there with no expectations. I wasn't really that great a competitor or bodybuilder, but I came fifth in my over 35 and I'm 38 now, but I was in the over 35
Nice.
class and it was like 300 girls and I
Wow.
came fifth. I didn't do well in the open. The open is where you compete with everyone, whether they were 16 and up. You compete with everyone. I didn't do that well, but at least I got second call outs, which is when you go on stage, everyone would like walk through the judges thing, start calling people out to reevaluate them. And the way they call you out is how you know how you're going to place. So when I wasn't called out with the first group of people, I knew that I wasn't going to place top five, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
was called out with the second group. So I knew that I would place top 10, top 12. So
Okay.
that was good. But that was a good thing because I'm competing with girls from, like I said, 16 and up, and I'm
Wow.
30,
Yeah.
30. At that point, I was like 36. Yeah. So anyway, so that's how my whole journey started. And what pushed me, I got a coach. That was how I started pushing that goal. Because again, you can have a goal, but if you don't do
Mm-hmm.
anything about it, then it's just a goal,
Right.
you know?
So I know there's probably some listeners out there who might be thinking about getting into this. Are there some things like they need to keep in mind or some steps they should take initially to like start getting themselves ready and preparing to do the competitions?
I mean, first thing I'll tell people to not go in with a mindset of competing, because if you're not healthy, then you need to work on being healthy first. So
Mhm.
I mean, that worked for me because I started with a coach who started changing my way of thinking about food and my relationship with food and
Mhm.
how my body, and then I started looking at how my body was responding to this new way of life.
Mhm.
So I would suggest for people to um maybe slowly start going to the gym, and it's a little bit hard. It's easy for me to say this, but I know how hard it is for people to get in the gym,
Mhm.
and I would say start being healthy first, and then you can transition into the competitive lifestyle because it is a little bit different than just being healthy. You're a little bit more restricted as
Mhm.
to how, and you're a little bit more structured.
Yeah, I mean, because I would assume, like, even though you were on that very strict diet initially for like the bodybuilding, your diet became even more strict, right? Your
Well,
diet.
so the initial one, and now I don't consider it as strict because it's funny, right? So just cleaning out your diet doesn't necessarily mean that that it's strict. It just means that it is strict, but it's just that when I bodybuild, I eat for a purpose.
Mhm.
Like whereas I was just eating to nourish myself, and that's fine. It's okay to eat to nourish yourself, and that's important. You have to. But then I started eating. the way I eat for competition is totally different than the way I like right now. I'm not prepping for a competition, but actually I'm starting. Today will be my first day back prepping for a competition. So my diet is going to change a little bit. Whereas I've been eating healthy this whole time, but I'm not as restricted and I'm not as conscious about what times I eat certain types of food. So
Mm-hmm.
when I was prepping, before I was prepping, when I was just eating clean, I would eat like a bowl of rice, and then have like a mango or something like that. But now I know, like, okay, well, I eat for a purpose, right? So for me, in the morning, my breakfast is important. I have my oatmeals and my bananas, and I have my protein shake, and I'm great. And then, right, I probably keep more like protein in the middle, and then right before I work out, I will have some type of like complex carb, like sweet potato, like 4 ounces of chicken, and then go work out because I need those carbs to help fuel my workout, right? And I need those
Mm-hmm.
proteins to help that building block of muscles. And right after, I always try to eat like some type of a simple carb. Usually, I try to do like 2 rice cakes, maybe one tablespoon of honey because I need to replenish all the glycogen that has been removed from my muscle. And this is like sciencey, so let me stop. But but for a purpose when I'm bodybuilding. Whereas if I'm just eating healthy, I'm just eating. It's also for a purpose. You're eating healthy, but your body is not going to look the same. You got to restructure what you eat and when you eat it to around the
Mm-hmm.
workouts. Like at night, some people don't even have carbs at night. But I know my
Right.
body, like I react to carbs a little bit differently than other people. So I can have carbs at night. The type of carbs is totally different. Like I probably will not have a simple carb. Probably have a sweet potato or like I'm trying to think of another good complex carb out there that like a plantain or something like that.
Okay.
I wouldn't have like rice or rice cakes or like any type of fruit because it's just a waste of that carb for me while I'm sleeping.
Mm.
So it's just for my body. Some people can't because you didn't hold on to more fat when you eat carbs at night for their body. So
So
I'm
it's
able
just
to burn it.
dependent.
Yeah, so
Uh,
my body's able to burn it a little bit differently than other people. So,
mm-hmm.
and so when I'm competing, I'm very, very cognizant of what I eat, or when I'm prepping, versus if I'm like up until last night, you know,
Mm.
where I wasn't
Right.
for a show.
And then let me ask you too, because we had talked a little bit about this the last time I saw you, but you were saying that it's really important to like if you are competing, and I guess even if you aren't competing, if somebody is just helping you out with health in
Mm-hmm.
general, to have like the right person that's telling you truly what you should eat and the type of exercises that you should be doing, because if not, it could kind of mess you up a little bit, right?
Yes, because so there are so many personal trainers. Let's start with personal trainers in gyms. 99% of them, I watch them, and I'm not a personal trainer right this second, but I am studying for my personal training certification and also my nutrition certification. Most of the personal trainers that I see people work out with in the gyms, and I've been a victim of this too. They're certified in personal training. They have the like I'll say the theory down, but then in practice, they're not really showing their clients how to be healthy. Most of the personal trainers that you see in gyms are not nutritionists. They don't have
Mm.
their nutrition, and that's important. Like the most important part of it of being healthy is eating. like I
Right.
like you need to change your diet. Like you can't just start going to the gym. You can do all the crunches you want to do. They say abs are made in the kitchen for a reason. Like I don't have any abs right now, and I now, but my stomach is flat and it's whatever. But I guarantee you that even if I don't step in the gym and I just clean up my diet, within the next 2 weeks, my abs will start showing. And it's all a matter of how you eat because everyone has abs. If you are walking around, you're doing anything. Anyway, let me digress. But um, um, so the reason why, so it's important for you to get like people who are going to put your nutrition in mind. So in my case, I'm dealing with something called adrenal fatigue right now
Mm.
because my coaches had me on this really weird diet where I was taking in maybe 1,100 calories a day, which was wrong. You should never take in just 1,100 calories a day. And I was doing cardio for 2.5 hours.
Mm.
For like a maybe 4 to 6 weeks period. And I was I was expected to still lift heavy. It's impossible to do that. Your body is
Mm.
going to have to compensate one way or the other. So
Right.
I was 7 weeks in between competition. I had done a competition. I did really well. I came fifth in the country. I was top five in the country. I was 4 places away from becoming professional. And then, so I'm going for the next show that will put me to that step. And so they ratcheted it up a little bit more. And next thing you know, I'm losing muscle left and right because now my body is like, well, I have to fuel myself somehow. So it
Mm.
starts eating into my muscle. My hormones is all like out of whack because it's not getting enough food. It holds on to certain foods now more because it doesn't know when next, like how much more I'm going to eat next time. You know,
Mm-hmm.
even though I was eating every day, but I was only really eating like 11. I calculated it, and that's one of the things. If you have a coach that doesn't want to tell you why they're giving you certain things, like if they're telling you, okay, well, you need to have 5 egg whites in the morning and 1/3 cup of oatmeal and a banana and this and that. If you ask questions like, okay, well, why am I having 5 egg whites and a banana and 1/3 cup? They should be able to tell you the science behind that.
Mm.
They should be able to
Mm-hmm.
tell you why they're giving you that. And then they should be able to adjust your diet as they see you every week, whether you send pictures in or they see you in person. They can be like, okay, well, you're responding a little bit differently to your diet this way. So maybe I need to change certain things up. Or you know what, let me add more food. It seems like your body burns more fuel. So maybe I should add more protein or fats or carbs here and there, to
Mm.
help kind of for you to keep certain muscle and to build certain muscle. So everybody's body is different. So in terms of getting a coach, just be careful because so there are three things I touched on. One, you have to make sure that these people are invested in your health, and being invested in
Mm-hmm.
your health means that they need to know nutrition. And so when you go to a gym and you get a personal trainer, you should have a list of questions. And I could probably try to come up with those questions and send it to you in the shade so you can post them.
Okay. Oh, awesome.
But you should have a list of questions that you ask these personal trainers about how they're going to be invested in your health. Okay, that means that when they're training with you, no being on the phone. They need to watch you. They need to make sure that you're doing things in proper form. They need to make sure that your diet is on point. They need to make sure about a lot of things that they don't even ask. Like some coaches don't even ask, oh, how was your day? Like they don't know if their client had a rough day. That's what.
Right, right.
Yeah. So it's just all about bringing people in. So the second thing that I'm going to say is that, nutrition is important. And so if somebody start giving you 1,100 calories or something, if you're not taking in about 1,800 calories a day and you're
Mm.
working out and doing 2 hours of cardio, stop, please.
Mm.
Because that's not, I don't care if you're 400 pounds, stop it. And
Mm.
third, what was the third one? I can't even remember the third one. But those are the two most important things. Food is the most important thing, and how you structure your meals. And then you can start getting into the workout. The workouts are going to be easy. There's YouTube for everything. Okay. So
Right.
sometimes I'll be in the gym. My coach will have me doing like, oh, I need you to do butterfly back flips. I'm like, okay, good. Let me go look up butterfly back flips. Sure enough, it's on YouTube or it's on bodybuilding.com. So just, try to be careful. Don't get in the gym and try to put in all this weights on the machine and you can't do it. It doesn't make sense. Start slow, start small, slow and steady, and
Mm.
you're gonna get through it. Like you're gonna slowly build up to those weights that you want. So a lot of people in the gym, they go in there with an ego and they want to lift heavy right away. If you can, that's great. But if you cannot, it's okay. It's not the end of the
Mm.
world. The gym will be there next day. So
Right, right.
I hope I was able to answer that question because I felt like
No,
I,
it's great. No,
okay.
yeah, no, I think that was absolutely perfect because I think it hits on people like who just want to get in shape and then people who want to take it to that next level and then
Yeah,
get into like the bodybuilding.
exactly.
Uh, Now I just want to switch gears for a second because we've given like a little bit of like your background and you've touched on health.
Yeah.
But I know something that we've even been texting back and forth about is kind of like what's next for you and kind of what you want to do with like all of this knowledge. So can you talk a little bit about like some things that you would like to do this year that's surrounding fitness?
So there's a few things I want to do, but one of the biggest things that you and I, Nache, have spoken about is I wanted to start a podcast about
Mm-hmm.
fitness and not just fitness, health in general. And I wanted to be geared towards women. I'm a woman, and a lot of things in this world are geared towards men. But who buys
Mm-hmm.
everything? Who actually, invest in stuff as women, right? And
Mm-hmm.
nothing really is marketed towards women. And I mean, I'm sure there are other podcasts out there that are marketed towards women. So let me not make this up.
Right,
But
right, right.
because I have a passion for fitness, I want to obviously roll that into a podcast where I talk about everything. I talk about the fact that I'm going through a situation right now where I wake up tired, even if I slept 12 hours a day, because my hormones are all jacked up because I was messed up from my competition, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about financial health. I want to talk about emotional health. I'm going to be able to bring people on who like are experts in this field. Like I went through marriage counseling at one point. I want to be able to bring my marriage counselor on to talk about,
Mm-hmm.
you know, health, those types of emotional help that you need in your life to be one, a great mother, wife, whatever, or to be a single woman.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Right.
mean? So those are the things that I'm thinking about doing. And so that's one of my biggest goals is to start this podcast and just geared towards women. And it's going to be geared towards any woman out there, any woman out there. And obviously there's going to be a subset of it geared towards women competitors because
Mm.
I don't think we have anything like that in the industry at the moment. I think that there are podcasts out there, but they're ran by men, and sometimes one or two women might come on those podcasts. But it's very big on like, oh, this guy here, there, there. I don't
Right.
want to talk about people and their shows. I want people who are being talked about in those shows to come talk to us about
Mm-hmm.
their processes, things that they've done. Like, I was talking to this lady. She has alopecia, so
Mm-hmm.
she's bald. If you look at bodybuilding is a very, especially for women, and in bikini or figure, those are one of the the two of the four divisions in bodybuilding, or five divisions in bodybuilding for women. This woman, it's all based on your look, it's aesthetic, right? And she's bald,
Mm-hmm.
and she gets on stage, and she looks amazing. I want her to talk
Right.
to us about that. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. About
So
that confidence and going on there and knowing that she looks great and she feels great. And then,
ex-
yeah. Yeah.
exactly. And I want to bring on entrepreneurs, people who have been able to convert this fitness industry into a business for them.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked to a few people who they've started their own protein company. That's the protein I use now, Devotion Nutrition. And there are two women who used to be competitive. One of them is still competing. The other one stopped competing. And I want people to hear them. How did they transition? How did they decide that this is the protein? Like, this is how we're going to come up with this protein that's good for everyone, that has 3%, like, I think it's like 3 grams of carbs, maybe 1 gram of sugar. In the bodybuilding world, that is important, okay?
Right.
And like in one scoop. So like, you're not just consuming all this extra sugar and carbs that you maybe don't need right when you just need to fill yourself with protein. And they've been able to come up with this amazing product, and I want them to talk to people. And they're mothers, they're married, they're wives, they were competing, they had a
Mm.
job.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
one of them she has 3 kids. Yeah, 3 kids, and two last borns, they were twins. So
Mm.
she was developing this whole thing while she was pregnant and then she was taking care of twins. So
Right.
I wanted women to hear that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the goal. That's the idea behind it. I want to bring my very first competitive coach. She's in England. She's battling a really severe disease right now that's really big in women, not just in bodybuilding, just in general, young girls, anorexia. And
Mm.
she was a bodybuilder, and that actually exacerbated it even more because she was
Mm.
anorexic and bulimic before bodybuilding. And
Mm-hmm.
now she's going through a recovery process, and she's sharing her journey, you know, where I want people to hear that and understand that they're beautiful. And like you could be 400 pounds, it's fine, you know?
Right. Right. You just
And I
gotta
want
love
people to
yourself.
throw
Yep.
away the scale, throw those scales away. I hear people all the time when they first get into bodybuilding or they'll start lifting. They're like, "Well, I still weigh the same." I'm like, "Well, okay, let's talk through this. So, does your clothes fit differently?" "Yeah, yeah. This pants that I could never get my foot in, I can now wear it and it fit nice my butt." I said, "Yeah, because you're building muscle and you're burning fat." And muscle is going to weigh, I mean, like it's the same. Like you're building muscle, you're going to weigh the same or higher. So
Mm.
just forget the scale. Like the scale could be a gauge. So I just want women to just like stop beating themselves up for stuff that, you know, they don't need to. Just be healthy in general. Financially, I
Mm-hmm.
want to bring a financial advisor on because those of us who compete, we spend a lot of money competing, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
then just in general as women, you know, I have trouble saving money because I like to buy stuff. My husband has issues with it. So I want
Mm.
to be able to bring a financial advisor and we can talk about it for real.
Right.
And I like this is no how do I say it? It's gonna be real. Like I'm gonna talk about things that people maybe don't want to talk about. My husband might be mad at me about some of the things. So I might have to like, you know, ask his permission. Can I talk about it?
Well, no, that's always smart, especially if someone else is involved too. They
Exactly.
have to be okay with it. Yeah.
Exactly. If it's something that involves me and him, but like just stuff that involves my mindset about, you know, how I have a mental block about certain things and how do I go about like nerving, like just stopping that mental block. I want to be able to
Hmm.
talk about it honestly. And my friend, one of my friends is probably going to be joining me on the podcast, so we'll see.
Yeah, no, this is really great. And I know that we talked about it like a couple of weeks ago, and you've already lined up people who've committed to doing this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but that's how things start is you just, take like small steps to get it done.
Yeah.
And so, on here too, we said we talk a little bit about like the steps that maybe you should take in order to like make this into a reality. So I think lining up the interviews, having this podcast is going to be amazing and it's going to help like a lot of people. But so what are your thoughts on making it like lucrative, like where you can now earn money from this?
So that's where I'm having issues. I don't know. I think the first thing to probably do is just get that podcast out there, and then my next step is to try to see if I can get sponsors for it, and
Hmm.
also, obviously, I'm going to have to start a website and be able to promote things that I believe in, things that my audience believe in, because I think it's important that way. And obviously, like I have a thing right now. Like there are a lot of athletes out there that I compete with who are sponsored by
Hmm.
products that they don't believe in.
Hmm.
So I that's one of going to be the first step to maybe making it lucrative is to maybe start getting sponsors, and it's going to be on products that I know and that people around me know works.
Yeah, I think that's great because when I like, what I've heard from you so far, like even on this interview and talking to you before, like some things that come to mind
Hmm.
is like you could start like a membership site eventually and people can become members in order to get access to
Yeah,
certain people or to your
yeah,
knowledge. You
yeah.
could sell maybe even worksheets that have something to do with like health,
Yeah,
being eating or working out or whatever. You can have videos that people pay for, like maybe that show exercise exercises, and
Yeah.
then sponsors, like you said, definitely is a big one, and even affiliates. So if people click on certain links, like you make money because you're promoting a product that you love. So I
Yeah.
feel like, especially since you're gearing it toward like a niche market, like it's something that everybody will want to listen to, but I think it's smart the way you're doing it,
Mhm.
because at the very least that those contacts that you've made in the bodybuilding industry, like when they get interviewed and then they share your podcast, like your name is going to get known in this industry, so you're actually tapping into a very niche market, which is excellent.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, that's you. I actually was writing down what you were saying. Sorry, so if I kind of got quiet there, but I was writing it down because there are lots of bodybuilders out there who are very very well known who have membership sites, and I can work with them. Actually, I can. I'm going to contact some of them to see how I can one maybe promote those membership sites, but then bring in where if I bring in people, and it's the ones that I use. I use two very big competitors right now who I use their website and I'm a member of their
Mm.
website. So I'll figure that part out. And then the worksheet sounds amazing. The video exercises, there's lots out there. But yeah, I mean, I was actually thought about doing a vlog or a YouTube,
Yes.
to be a YouTuber. And so I'm also getting that into gear whereas when I go out, um, when I go out to work out, there's going to be times that I can't bring my camera just because I am grumpy. I will try to videotape that because I think that people need to see the different stages of a bodybuilder and what you go through.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I thought about that. Another thing that I'm actually another goal. So that's another goal. We
Mm-hmm.
talked about the podcast, so the vlog. My biggest goal this year, if I can, I don't know, it depends on what my body and my hormones are doing because I am really not well. But if my body will let me, is my third goal is to get my pro card this year.
Mm.
And that's what I'm gearing up for. That's what I start today. I'm actually in my gym clothes. As soon as I'm done here, I'm gonna go for my very first prep workout.
Right.
And I
Neat.
don't go ahead.
No, I just said neat,
Yeah.
that you're going for it, because I know it sucks. It's weird because it's like by eating right, like several years ago, you were
Mhm.
able to get your sleep right. But
Yeah.
then unfortunately, since got the adrenal thing, like
Yeah.
it's now fatigue, now it's affecting your sleep again. And you're like, no, I just got control over it.
Yeah.
So hopefully you find a way to kind of, I don't know if there's like, can you get rid of it? Is it something that you could
Yeah, you just have to slowly
cure?
set your body. Yeah, you just have to
Okay.
slowly, and that's what I've been doing. And I've been working with somebody and working with a few people to slowly try to reset. So, like, there was a time, that's why I haven't worked out because it's just like, don't put your body into a stressful, it's caused by stress. Like, a lot of stress, obviously, not eating the right amounts of nutrients and stuff. But I just eat, just like I have no problem eating. Like you put a milkshake. There's a Chick-fil-A right next door. Ask me how many times in the last week I've been at Chick-fil-A.
Right.
Fine, us. So, but yes, I have no problem eating. It's just a matter of I needed to reset because I was still always tired, and so it's something that I'm just going to slowly get back to. Um, I also feel like if I work out, I'll actually sleep better too.
Mm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
so that's one of the reasons why I'm like pushing to just get out there. I went 3 times last week. My goal this week is to get to the gym 5 times this week, and actually like to actually do a plan through, like sit there, do my lifts, do my eat, go do my cardio, and then come home and eat my food as well. So.
Mm. So I was just going to ask you about the pro card, because so for those who aren't like as familiar with the bodybuilding industry, because you said that there is a lot of financial investment that goes into it. Like, I'm sure you have to pay for coach, you got to pay for your outfits, you probably
Mhm.
have to pay in order to get into the competitions. So when you win a competition, do you win money, or is it like really just kind of self gratification, and then from that you might get sponsors or something like that? How does that work?
So yeah, you are right. When you win, you don't win money. Okay.
Okay.
They're professionals. It depends on what In the biggest, I would say, how do I call it? Like there are different types of bodybuilding organizations out there. The biggest one is what I'm a part of as an amateur, and then once I get my pro card, I'll be a part of it from a pro standpoint, and that's the one that Arnold and all these famous bodybuilders compete in. But you don't win money unless you're a professional and you actually win a show.
Mm.
But some people have sponsors who sponsor everything for them. So like I have a friend who she has a sponsor, even though she's an amateur, she has a sponsor for her suit, she has a sponsor for her protein, she has a sponsor for her jewelry, and some of her protein sponsors or other things that she's doing. And they pay for like say her hotel room or her flights and stuff like that. And this girl doesn't have sponsors for food. So like food companies who do food for people like us who eat on the go sponsor her. So she get all her meals for free.
Oh,
So
nice.
so she doesn't pay for anything, for it. She just but most of these people usually not, I'm not going to say all of them, but most of the people who like have those type of sponsors, they don't have a 9 to 5. They're personal trainers, like this is what they live, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But for me, I have a 9 to 5, and so, I can't spend my whole time focusing
Mm.
on working out. Like I already give enough time to it already. Like I told you, I was doing 2.5 hours of cardio. That's not even the hour and maybe 30 minutes of lifting that I did a day. So that's about
Right.
almost 4 or 5 hours a day that I committed. That's after working a 10-hour workday. So that
Mm-hmm.
was a lot, So getting up at 3 in the morning and not getting
Woo.
home 8 at night, So it's a lot of commitment. Some people are able to do it because this is what they do for a
Mm-hmm.
living, and that's
Right.
there's nothing wrong with that. So yeah, so in terms of financially, there are people out there who when you do shows, if you're a professional, if you win a show, certain shows, and it's not like you get paid a lot of money, by the way,
Right.
especially as a woman. Like so when like the Olympia, the biggest, let me look it up because I don't want to lie on here. Okay, so like in Olympia, the men, I think they get like 100,000, if not maybe $200,000, and like Miss Olympia for bikini will get like
Mm.
$25,000 or something like that. So I'm making this thought because my computer is not going as fast as I would like for it to do,
Oh
but
yeah.
but yeah. So the women don't even make that much money.
Oh yeah. That sucks.
Yeah.
That's always the case. I feel like women's basketball versus men's basketball. It's like women are, especially in kind of any type of sports, we don't get as much as men when it comes to sponsors and things and coverage and things like that.
Yeah, so like I'm looking it up. So the total prize money per division is as follows. Mr. Olympia got $675,000. The 222, which is smaller than the big Olympia guys,
Hmm.
got 65,000. Do you know how much Miss Bikini Olympia got? $40,000.
Mm.
So it's like the women don't make as much of, and Mr. Olympia is the reason why obviously people watch the Olympia show, the big, Arnold Schwarzenegger and stuff. So I get
Hmm.
it, but it's still not. I mean, you go from the top guy making 675,000,
Yeah.
and
Dang.
the top woman. This is Miss Olympia, who is comparable to Miss Olympia, right? The big women, the big muscular women. She's getting
Hmm.
$60,000. They don't even do Miss Olympia anymore. The women, they don't do that
Oh.
anymore. The big women, I don't think they
Yeah.
do it anymore. But now they do figure and bikini again. Figure gets 60,000. The Miss Olympia bikini gets 40,000. It's pretty interesting.
Now, so that's good. I just want to give people a base, but you know what'll be, I think, interesting this year, just changing gears a little bit, is so you have like the goal of like starting a podcast, which will require you to create a website
Mhm.
and to possibly get your pro card,
Yeah.
and you'll be working full time. So I think your trick will be the balance, right?
Yes.
Um, because it's really almost like planning out your weeks, because with getting your pro card, there's going to be, you have to like dedicate time to like making all your meals for the week, right?
Mhm.
Uh, it's figuring out when you're going to get your exercise routine in.
Hmm.
And then with the podcast, it's just making time to record it. So it's like working around people's schedules and then editing it. And luckily, you said you'll probably have a partner. So that's really helpful. So then you guys can split those
Yeah.
duties. But
Yeah.
I think for this year, like that is going to be like your biggest challenge is like balancing all that
Hmm.
while still sleeping.
Exactly. So you still want to get 8 hours of sleep in a night when you're prepping because muscles don't grow while you're walking around. It grows when you're sleeping. So,
Mm,
and you need 8 hours of sleep. So
yeah.
I tell people this, it's 80% diet, 10% lifting, 10% sleep, rest. So you need rest. And so,
Yeah.
and people don't really see it. So like 100% that you give to working out, 80% of it is your diet. And
Yeah.
if you're not on point, so that's why I need to be able to prep. So today is a prep day. When I finish working out, there's a supermarket right next door. I'll go to Safeway and buy food for the week. I have my meal already planned, and I'll just start marathon of cooking and plating
Mm.
everything. So I just grab and go during the week, and so I'm able to organize my life. And I like actually when I'm prepping for a show because I'm very structured. You
And
know,
yeah, and what's cool about that is like we talked about different ways that you might be able to make money from like the website and the podcast
yeah,
is people will pay to find out like what your structure is, because a lot of people don't know where to start. But if you tell them like, here, I'm going to provide you with like there are some kind of prep companies out there, but like for bodybuilding in particular, like here, this is how I eat. These are the groceries I'm buying today. This
yeah,
is the Tupperware I have. This is how many hours I take to prep. Like people love that information because then they can go like step by step and do it too, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. And that's a good idea. So on the website, we could probably do a blog like that,
Mm-hmm.
and then do a video like come shop with
Yes.
me. You know.
Yeah. And I think your vlog idea is genius. Like even for all of my podcasts, like I put it on there. For
Hmm.
my other podcast that I split with a friend, we've also done actual videos. Like I did like a flat lay photography video, and it
Okay.
wasn't very long at all, and it got like 10,000 views, right? And
Yeah.
so I think fitness is huge. It's never going away. So if you
Yeah.
do some vlogs around that, I
Yeah.
think that'll give you a lot of traction too. So I can't wait to check them out. Maybe
Yeah.
you'll give me to start working out.
I know. I know. Like I'm trying to get people to just maybe not necessarily work out, like jump into working out, but like just clean up their diet. Like that's important. Like
No, it's super important.
so that's my thing. And it's funny because I was telling my husband that I wanted to start a podcast. He's not home right now. And he says, "Can you stop saying like?" And I noticed that I've said it like multiple times in this podcast to say, you're gonna have to work on saying like a lot.
I mean, it's so funny because I've been doing, podcasting for a couple of years, and this one that you're on right now is new this year as of
Yeah.
2017. But there's still like I find myself saying or like now I'm saying like because I heard you say like, so I do the same thing. But you know what I think is most important is as long as you have good content,
Yeah.
people I believe will forgive you for saying like or other phrases
Yeah.
as long as they are learning something or are hearing a really interesting story. So I would just focus on that.
I know. I just literally caught on me as I was saying it. But yeah. So in terms of the vlog, so three goals. Podcast. That's a big goal right now.
Right.
That's the most immediate goal that's going to happen. It's going to happen in the next, I would say, 4 to 6 weeks. I'm already almost there, and then the vlog. So as
Mm.
the podcast picks up, based on audience response, we can start doing little vlogs here and there. And obviously, at the same time, I'll be prepping for a show probably in June, July, my first show of the year, which is pretty late for me for the year, but that's my first show of the year. So
No, I got it. I wrote it down, so I'll have it written so I can harass you a few months from now. podcast, vlog, and getting your pro card. Those are
Exactly.
your 2017 goals.
Exactly. And then obviously, as the little tack on A and B, it would be how to monetize that, because obviously you don't
Right.
want to, and one of the people I'm going to bring on the podcast, I've spoken to her. She's really big. Her name is Kali Bondi. I talked to her 2 weeks ago, and she talks about how you don't do anything for free. Why would you want to? And she's a brand influencer. She was a competitor. She's since, she's been featured on ESPN, all kinds of stuff. But, she talks about how you monetize things that you're doing and
Mm-hmm.
for free. So,
And I think people need to be okay with that. So like, yeah, for me, I love giving people content. I love giving people for free content. But if I'm spending 10, 15 hours a week prepping content, it's only right that I get, some type of compensation, right? And so I think everybody should like realize that, like, if they work hard at something and they're providing, a service or a product or whatever, they want to get paid for it. So even though this seems like it should be free stuff, it's like, no, there's actually hours of research and prep and editing and so forth that goes into it. And it's okay for us, especially as women, to say like, we want to get paid for this, you
yeah.
know? Well, I just have one question I ask each guest.
Okay.
And what is one thing that you can't live without? And it could be anything from a product, a food. I mean, it could be anything and everything, but something that you just have to have in your life.
Could it be an animal?
Yes, yes.
My dog. My dog,
Little
Sasha.
Sasha.
Yes, I can. I mean, my husband as well. I mean, there's so many things. What am I talking about?
Yeah, so Sade, thank you so much for coming on the show. And I know by the time this airs, you'll have a lot of stuff set up. So I'll make sure to provide links in the show notes for your website and all of your social media accounts too.
All right. Thank you very much. I really love your podcast. It's so amazing. I listen to it driving to work, coming from work, going to the gym. Like, I love your podcast.
Thanks, Sade.
All right. Take care.
Okay, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I thought it was really great. I thought she gave like some good tips, and I just liked, talking to her about like what's next and kind of all the possibilities. And the great thing is, like, she has 3 big goals for 2017, right? Start a podcast, do a vlog, and get her pro card. And all 3 of these goals are time commitment. Really, I've talked about podcasting, editing it can be a dog, and it's time consuming because it's not something you can do necessarily while watching TV, right? Like, you have to listen back to the episode, which takes concentration. So you can't really multitask too much when you do that. A vlog, it's kind of the same thing, right? You're like editing a video. And a vlog, for those of you who don't know what it is like a video blog. So you have to like, edit that a little bit too. And then the pro card is just a commitment to, right? Like doing whatever she needs to do to get that, be it a test, be it, whatever. I'm not going to start making up stuff. But still, that takes time. I like that they're all kind of related. They're related as far as health. And so they're all surrounding this kind of one passion that she has. And in between her getting off work and her getting sleep, because she explained like how she really needs to get that sleep, she's going to have to be laser focused into accomplishing these big bulk goals. And so I'm really excited to see what happens. And also, thank you, Sade, for opening up just about your adrenal fatigue and how that happened, because when people are out here looking for a coach or a trainer, and it doesn't even matter if you're just bodybuilding, maybe you're just like going to your local gym, have somebody that really knows their stuff, because I feel like everybody thinks they're like an expert now, and then they could totally tell you the wrong things to eat, and that will mess your system up. And, luckily for the adrenal fatigue with work and time, she'll be able to get over it, but she shouldn't have had to deal with this in the first place. So people, as you get ready for the summer or whatever, just make sure that you have someone, if you choose to pay for help, that really is an expert in their field and that really cares about you, like she was saying. So anyway, I think that, usually I do like a little quote from the episode, and I think I'm going to go with, they say abs are made in the kitchen for a reason. But I also like when she said, when I bodybuild, I eat for a purpose. Back to the old saying, eat to live versus living to eat. Now, I must say I am one of those people that kind of live to eat because I do love my food. Those who know me, y'all know I got a problem. But if you eat to live and eat for a purpose, it's definitely much better. So even though I love my food, I feel like there's just a balance, right? I still can eat my cupcakes and my delicious stuff, but I just need to do it in moderation. And so that's where I'm trying to get back to, and also working out as I get especially older. But even if you're like in your 20s, you need to pay attention to that too. So come join me on my quest. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. As I mentioned in the beginning, be sure to subscribe to the podcast. Also, please take the time right now, if you have a second, to rate the podcast. That really, really helps the podcast. Thank you for everyone who's done that. You could do that in your app, or you could do it on the desktop. Like if you go to iTunes, like you go to nachesnow.com/iTunes, you could add a rating there. But if you just take 2 seconds to do that, I really appreciate it. I actually just took a few seconds this week to rate some of my other podcasts that I love to listen to, just to show my support. So please do that. And then, of course, the newsletter, nachesnow.com/newsletter, or you can find it on any page of the website. And then if you have any ideas or things that you want me to cover or videos that you want me to make, on and post it on YouTube or on the blog or whatever, just let me know. I've already got some ideas. I just have to carve out the time to just make them when it comes to like making graphics or Instagram stuff, you name it. I can make a video about it because I'm total design and tech nerd. But anyway, I hope you have an amazing morning, noon, or night, depending when you're listening to this. And until next time, talk to you later. Bye.